So guys, I want to talk about All Elite Wrestling Full Gear, and I do want to say, quite honestly, this is a very weak show. There's only 4 mattresses that I'm interested in. And then the other thing about it is that I paid like $540 at Grand Slam to go to Full Gear, be in the front row section. And I want to say that I actually really regret it because this show is definitely not worth it. And I actually have to say that I'm going to Denver for 5 days. And I actually look at this as like a chore before going to Denver. And that's really bad when you say that going to a wrestling event that you are paying money for is a chore. That's really, really fucked up. So I really think with this show, there's just a lot of problems with it. But I think that what I would love to do is give you guys my fantasy booking for All Elite Wrestling Full Gear 2024. Excuse me. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this. That I think for the dark matches, the buy-in, I would have a bunch of Ring of Honor matches. And the reason why I want to do a bunch of Ring of Honor matches is because, the big thing I want to do is say that, okay, Ring of Honor does matter. Right now, they should not have a pay-per-view, but I do think Ring of Honor needs to matter, and you need to kind of give people a hook, really, So that would be a really good formula if you said that during the preliminary matches, the buy-in, you see a bunch of Ring of Honor matches, but definitely with wrestlers that as well with it. So the first match I would have is Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara versus The Righteous. And this is what you're going to do. You're actually going to have them defend the tag team titles. And that's actually really, really good. And then the other thing that you do in this match is you show a video package of The Righteous and the issue that they're having with these guys. And the reason why you do that is you establish context. And then the other thing that you do is that obviously you want to feature The Righteous because last year they had a match with Adam Cole and MJF. So it makes sense to have people that are a little bit familiar. But Dustin and Sammy are the people that make the match work because actually, it's going to help, people know who they are as well, really. So that's a good match to have. And the second match you're going to have is Powerhouse Hobbs versus Brian Cage. And the reason why you're going to do that match is because what's going to happen is it's going to be for the ROH TV title. This is a great introduction to Powerhouse Hobbs. You bring him back. People like him. It's also good because AEW does not do a lot of big man versus big man matches. And then what I would also do is that when Powerhouse Hobbs gets to the ring, you hear the Hurt Faction and the Hurt Syndicate. And then what happens is that they go all the way to the front row and on the commentary. So you have MVP on the commentary, and you also have Bobby Lashley and Shelton just standing there doing nothing. They're just watching. They're surveying Hobbs, really. And I think that would be a really, really good dynamic, really, because then it's almost like, is the Hurt Syndicate going to recruit Hobbs, or are they going to do something like they're going to set up Lashley versus Hobbs? So you have that match. That would be a really good thing. And then you have Anna Jay versus Athena for the ROH Championship. A lot of people complain that you don't have a lot of women's matches. The other thing, too, is that if Athena is holding this championship for over 700 motherfucking days, she has to matter. She has to be a really big deal. You would have Anna Jay because she's been featured on television, and this is another way for her to kind of, have a match, So I really think that would be really good. You have all these things. And this is what I would have for the main roster card. The first match that I would want to see is Chris Jericho versus Sammy Guevara for the ROH Championship. Why would I want to do this match? For a couple of reasons. That you cannot have Chris Jericho versus Mark Briscoe and do that over and over. That's getting very fucking monotonous. The other thing about it is that it was 2 years ago at the Prudential Center, they had the Fatal 4-Way, and it was Sammy Guevara in that and Chris Jericho. So that's a good tie into the past. The other thing is that Dustin Rhodes is a double champion. He's the ROH six-man tag team champion, and he's also the ROH tag team champion. So eventually what I want to do is Chris Jericho versus Dustin Rhodes for the ROH title. And then you do Dustin Rhodes versus Sammy. So you see Sammy kind of following the footsteps of Dustin. So that's why you would do this match. And then obviously Sammy loses. That bothers Sammy. That puts him on a different angle, really. The next match that I want to see is Will Osprey versus Kyle Fletcher. This is going to be a first blood match. They've been doing this stuff with the screwdriver. Why not do this? This will put Osprey in a different direction. Instead of just this high flyer gymnastics motherfucker type of shit, you actually present him in a different dynamic. So that's why you would do that. This would be a controversial match. The next match I would do is Jack Perry versus Peter Griffin for the TNT title. And the reason why I would do this match is for a couple of things. That first of all, the Peter Griffin character got a huge reaction in Providence, Rhode Island. The other thing too is that, obviously, with some matches you can be a little comedic, and then there's some matches you can be serious. So I think that would be kind of like a little bit of fun match. And then also the guy who plays Peter Griffin is a wrestler as well, really. So I would think that would draw attention if you did something like Peter Griffin versus Jack Perry. Imagine the people on television focusing on this. And if you want to do a match that's a little silly and a little stupid, okay, if you do one of them on a show, no problem, really. But would this draw attention? Yes. What about that match you have with that YouTuber versus like Daddy Magic or somebody on the pre-show in Newark, New Jersey? You don't do that. People know who Peter Griffin is. So that would be really good. The next match that you're going to do is Adam Cole versus MJF. And then what I also want in this match that MJF is acting in Happy Gilmore too. So why not have Adam Sandler on commentary? Or you can have him as a special guest referee. But I would rather I think having him on commentary would be better. Because honestly, I'm not sure about Adam Sandler's, physical condition, really. So you have to kind of make sure that he's safe. But I would have him as a special guest referee. But if not, I would have Adam Sandler as a guest commentator. And then, as I've said before, they can also show a trailer of Happy Gilmore 2. So that way, you do something where, I believe that's usually Madison Productions is something that Warner Brothers has produced along with them, so that would be good. And then also in exchange for Adam Sandler appearing, you're actually giving free advertisement on the movie, really, and you have some scenes with MJF, really. So this would be good. Imagine if you're going to the Prudential Center. Oh my God, I get to see Adam Sandler in person. Oh my God, Adam Sandler has a role, really. Would that draw you money? Yes, that would. The next match I would have is Ricochet versus Takeshita for the International Championship. So the reason why you want to do this is that they've been advertising, them getting in a feud for a while, really. This is another type of high flyer match. I think with Osprey versus Fletcher, that is going to be a little different because you're going to feature blood and some violence in it. So you do something a little bit different. Ricochet versus Takeshita, you can kind of have your Dave Meltzer high endurance type of match, go 20 minutes. The next match is Lashley versus Swerve. You keep that is a big money match. You also keep the Fatal 4 tag team match. I hate Fatal 4-way matches because I don't like that thing that they do where it's like two people are in the ring and then your opponent can tag you in. I would reset the rule. The rule of a Fatal 4-way is this, or a Fatal 3-way or a triple threat match tag team is this. 3 people in the ring at one time, 4 people in the ring at one time. That's the best way to do it. No more of this, pardon my language, retarded, oh, well, only 2 people in the ring and then your opponent can tag you in, because that looks really stupid. 4, a representative from each team is competing, a representative of each team at one time, really. That's how you do it. Otherwise, it looks really stupid. So I like that they have that. The reason why it's good is because you're introducing your new tag team division. You have the Outrunners, you have Private Party, you have veterans like they claimed, and then you also have the Kings of the Black Throne. And that's good because obviously the Young Bucks fucked up the tag team division. So this is a good way of doing it. I think a ladder match and that other stuff, that's not appropriate for what I have for a main event. You have Omega versus Okada, and we're going to do a video about this, bitches. The reason why you do Omega versus Okada is because Kenny Omega just came back. He needs to help the company, and I'm going to do a video about that, bitches. So, that would be a good match. And then also, Okada is the Continental Championship. is the Continental Champion. So would it make sense for your Continental Champion to have a match? People would be reminded of the Continental Championship actually mattering. Would that actually be a good idea to make that championship actually matter? Right before you're going to go into World's End where the championship is defended. It makes a lot of sense. The main event match that I would have on the show would be an Anarchy in the Arena match. And there's a couple of reasons why I would want to do this, and I'll get into them a little bit later. So you have the Moxley faction, the Death Riders. That's stupid. The Moxley faction. It's going to be Moxley, Claudio, Pac, Wheeler Yuta, and Marina Shafir. You have Orange Cassidy, Adam Page, Daniel Garcia, Mark Briscoe, and Chris Statlander. And the rule is this, that if Team AEW wins, no matter who gets the pinfall, that Orange Cassidy becomes the AEW champion. And that's that. I could throw in a stip, and then also what I would do, I wouldn't announce this, but I would say that you do a main event on Dynamite, and you have the trios title defended if the Moxley faction loses. But there's a couple of reasons why I want to do this. First of all, in no motherfucking world is Orange Cassidy a heavyweight wrestler. He is a bastardized Kenny Omega. He is a comedy wrestler. He does the comedy kicks. He should never ever be a champion of a company. He's like Alex Shelley or Chris Sabin. I could actually probably beat Orange Cassidy in an arm wrestling match, and I weigh 240 pounds. Orange Cassidy's not a legitimate champion. That is sad. And you kind of look at what's going on nowadays where he can't even cut a promo. My lack of eye contact, which is genetic, in my videos can help me a lot further with cutting a better promo with Jon Moxley than Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy is not a good wrestler. He actually reminds me a lot of Ace Ventura. So we need to get off the Orange Cassidy. He's not a serious wrestler. He is a comedy wrestler. He does the comedy kicks. So when you do the Anarchy in the Arena, you totally cover him up, really. The next thing is that Mark Briscoe needs to be in the AEW Heavyweight Championship picture. He needs to be one of those people that's in the upper echelon of AEW. He needs to be after the AEW Championship. He needs to get away from the ROH Championship. That's important. He needs to graduate himself. The baby has to get off his ROH Championship bottle. The next thing is that Adam Page is one of the top wrestlers in AEW. He burned down Swerve's house. He had a really controversial match. He got a lot of attention. He needs to be in the main event. He should not be having a match with Jay White. That is completely stupid. And Daniel Garcia needs to be a wrestler that is actually, tough and gritty and steps up, really. And he's definitely shown that. And the other thing, too, is that, for Anarchy Arena match to feel a little different, why not have two women in it? Have Chris Statlander. That's a better usage of her. She's a big powerhouse wrestler. So is Marina Shafir. That's a really good thing. And then the other thing that I would say is that with Anarchy in the Arena, yes, you did something earlier this year with in Las Vegas, but I have no problem using stipulations like this on different shows, really. This would have a really big fight feel. This would get your crowd wild and charged up, really. And then also there is a motivation for, do we want the Moxley faction actually running AEW? And then there's a couple of things that I'll say. I think it's good because you don't have Darby Allin in this. And it's also good because you can't always rely on Darby Allin setting people on fire and doing other things. So this will be a little good if they kind of did a beatdown of him And then they had Daniel Garcia kind of being that underdog. So you have different people, and that's important. The next thing is that it helps with the blood and guts. Like I said many, many times, blood and guts should not be in a mid-July show. It should be on a pay-per-view. So this is automatically saying to the audience, you don't always use a stipulation for a certain event, really. You can use it anytime when it's appropriate. The next thing that I would say is that, with a lot of the stuff in New England, they've kind of had teased fights at the Bridgeport Arena and the concession stands. They tease like fights in the arena at the Albany show and other things like that. So it's a good look, really, when you actually do something like you're kind of crescendoing to a mega fight at the Prudential Center. And then the other thing that I have to say is this is Thanksgiving week. So, there are people who are going to be traveling. There are some people who are going to be spending a week off. There are people who are taking week-long vacations, really. So you can have an Anarchy and Arena match, which is this great, big spectacle. And you can kind of make the crowd go wild, really. You can make this, a very big, 30 to 40 minute show, really. And then the other thing that you can do is actually, if you want to do it, you can make Orange Cassidy the champion and then have Christian Gage take that away and set up a fatal four-way between Moxley, Christian Cage, Orange Cassidy, and Darby Allin at World's End. You could do that. Or you could do something like you could have, because honestly, if you have somebody, or you do that dynamic, really. That would be what you could do at, that could be what you could do. So, and then the other thing that I would say is that, as I've said before, it would be a really good match. It would be a great way to take all the people who are on Team AEW that actually matter and make them bigger deals. Yes, Daniel Garcia is stepping up. He's doing a great job. He's had serious matches. He's talked about overcoming an abusive father. He had a match with MJF. I can take him seriously. Mark Briscoe, his brother died tragically. He's been an ROH champion. He's been a workhorse. He's been in very serious matches. I can take him seriously. That's the same thing with Adam Page. Orange Cassidy, no, but he's definitely shown some commitment. And Chris Statlander, yeah, she's had a really great year. I can't take John Silver seriously. I cannot take Satnam Singh seriously. I cannot take that guy from Evil Uno seriously. So this way you take Team AEW and you feature very serious wrestlers and then you ride with it. So I think I think with my card, if Tony Khan wants to make money, he would stick with my plan and that's what he would do. I think that this is the best possible fantasy booking for AEW Full Gear, and Tony Khan needs to hire Byron Andreas because I will make him money.